When the world feels cold and divided, we will stand strong, united. Different voices, one heartbeat, walking together through every street, through every storm, through every fire. We rise higher and higher, hand in hand we all belong. Many hearts but one strong song. Love, hope, and unity, that's the power of our community. Side by side for all to see. One world, one humanity. Love, hope, and unity, stronger together eternally. Lift your voice and sing with me. Love, hope, and unity. Every child deserves tomorrow, free from hatred, free from sorrow. Every culture, every name, under the sky we're all the same. So be the light when darkness falls. Build bridges stronger than walls. History changes when people rise, with truth and compassion in their eyes. No fear, we choose understanding. No silence, together we're standing. Hope will shine across the night when hearts unite for what is right. Love, hope, and unity, the rhythm of our community. One voice, one destiny. Love, hope, and unity. Love, hope, and unity. A dream for all humanity. Together now and endlessly. Love, hope, and unity.
Hello, and welcome to this new program. It's called Love, Unity and Hope. So that sounds a good thing, doesn't it? Love, unity and hope. And you can probably see we've got some signs saying love, unity and hope. And I am a new person on Radio Dawn. My name's Jeannie Thompson, and you can see I'm a white English woman. And I'm delighted to be here. And we'll talk more about what we're going to do in a minute, but I want to first introduce my first guest in the studio, who is Fareen Khan. So welcome to the program.
Hello, Jeannie. How are you?
I'm very pleased to be here, but just slightly nervous. That's normal, isn't it? When
I think
something
so.
new, yeah.
It's a new venture.
Yeah. And how are you today?
Good. So a little bit about me, if people are wondering. My name's Fareen Khan, and I'm a Muslim woman. And if I introduce myself,
Yes, please.
as a Muslim woman. So I'm a daughter of a doctor. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. And I think for a lot of Muslim women, these are the roles that kind of really we nurture and we invest a lot of time in. Professionally, and education and profession's very important as well. So I went to university. I did science at university. I went to London to study at Imperial College, and then I went to the University of Cambridge and did my doctorate there.
So do we call you Dr. Fareen Khan?
Officially, I
won't do that. It's a bit too formal. So Fareen, go on. So you had an academic career,
Yeah, so I've had a very varied career, I
Mhm.
think, and I feel quite lucky to have had a varied
Yeah,
career. It
yeah.
gives me a lot of insight into
Yeah,
different
yeah,
areas of life in the UK.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I worked for a time, obviously, as a researcher
yeah,
in
yeah.
the field of biotechnology.
Biotechnology. Oh.
Yes,
Tell
and
us about that a bit later, perhaps. Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. But then I was working as a student, so I was a student for a long time, 7, 8 years.
That's a long time.
It's
yeah.
a long time, so
Yeah.
I was always interested in social justice,
Yes, yes.
and kind of I was quite active as a student.
Mhm.
With various groups. There was a group
Mhm.
called Third World First.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I was running the Third World First group
Mhm.
at Imperial College.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I was a PhD student, I volunteered with a group called Oxfam Campaigns.
Mhm.
And when I finished my PhD, Oxfam Campaigns offered me a job.
Oh, very nice.
So I started working
Yeah,
for that group,
Yeah, yeah.
which I really enjoyed.
So you've been a campaigner for a very long time then?
I was a campaigner, and then life took me to other places. I got married, had children.
Yeah.
I worked in the civil service for a while. I worked for the charity. And then once I had the children, I was very sort of taken up with that role.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started becoming more interested in educating. First, I was a parent governor
Yes,
yes. At their school, which was very interesting. And later on, I became a mentor, a science mentor at the secondary school.
Yeah, very important to have more women in science.
Yes,
particularly Muslim women, with all the stereotypes. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was a very important role for me. And then I realised when I was working in the school that students didn't have a lot of insight into where they could go academically or what they could do in terms of their careers if they weren't very academic. What were the routes open to them? That wasn't something at that time that was really being taught to them.
No.
So I started running career fairs at the school.
Yeah.
And with my interest in careers, I then got offered the job of being a careers leader for the school. And I spent about 10 years as a careers leader at secondary school.
Good.
So helping to direct young people to where they could follow their interests, where they could...
very empowering, because a lot, I know in my culture, not so much now, but until fairly recently, girls were like, well, we won't bother with a career because you're only going to get married and have children. And, oh, well, you don't really want to go into science or technology, do you? And, there's a lot of gender-based careers advice. Yes.
And I think that is something that you have to look at, kind of why people are quite limited in their outlook as to what they can do. But I did see it as something that was very kind of empowering, because I knew that, for my children, they had a lot of people within the family who've got very varied careers. So we could help our own children and guide
lots
them.
of examples.
Lots of examples within the family, but a lot of families don't have that. So I wanted to see how I could help all the other young people.
Because there's also a big class thing here. A lot of children who come from working class backgrounds are kind of like not encouraged and not seen as capable of the same kind of academic or career things that maybe more middle class and educated families have. So it's good. So you're an inspiring example of inspiring young people. Is that?
I
Right.
hope I was. Yes, I don't work anymore.
No, what do you do now then? Do you want to tell us a bit now?
So I volunteer now, and I
Right.
volunteer in community groups, and the group that I spend most of my time volunteering for is a group called UK Friends of Standing Together.
And that's how we know each other,
And
isn't
that
it?
is how we know each other from that group.
UK Friends of Standing Together. And you have been interviewed on Radio Dawn about that. But just give us a little snippet, just enough for now, about what UK Friends of Standing Together is and why you're so passionate about it. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about why we have a passion for love and hope and unity, and what we can do here in Nottingham to progress love, hope and unity, because we surely need it. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Back to Friends of Standing Together. Do you want to say a bit about that?
So it's a relatively new group. Standing Together itself is a group based in Israel.
Right.
And they're made up of Palestinian and Jewish Israelis.
Right. All living within the Israeli state.
Within the 48 boundaries of Israel. But they're a group that is based on co-resistance.
Tell us, that's a term I'm not familiar with. I understand it. Tell us about co-resistance.
So it's understanding that the society there is fundamentally flawed.
Yes.
And that it's a society that's kind of based around racism. And once you go out of the borders, there's also apartheid, and there's occupation, and it's a very militaristic society. So it's one that is engaged in war, and that's engaged in Gaza now in genocide as well. So that's something that I believe that we all need to be opposing wherever we are. And I think that pressure needs to come from outside of Israel.
International pressure.
International pressure. We definitely need international pressure. But there also needs to be pressure within Israel for change. And that's what has been lacking for many years. In a meaningful way. So I think Standing Together is trying to build a mass movement for change
within
Israel, and I think we need that to actually move forward.
And what does the local branch do? Just give us a little bit of what's happening in Nottingham.
So locally we support the work of Standing Together, and we do that in a number of ways. So we can raise money for them, and we are campaigning. We have a campaign called Support Peace and Sanctions on Settlements.
Support peace and sanctions on settlements.
So that's a way of supporting their aim of ending occupation by making it difficult for and making it illegal, basically, for companies to work in those territories.
Make money out of them.
That's right.
And there's a weekly vigil. Sorry, it used to be weekly, now monthly, which is where we met, of course. So do you want to say a word about that?
So
I'm just going to blow my nose. Carry on.
So we meet at least once a month to have this vigil, and the idea behind that is that we share what's been happening across the occupied territories within Israel itself. I feel that's more important now because this is all kind of slipping off the news agenda.
You're definitely right.
So we need to be highlighting what's going on and bringing that to people's attention. So we do that. We take turns in having an address to everybody who comes.
And it's silent. It's standing.
So
in silence for half an hour. It's very powerful silence.
yeah. So we start
that's
off,
been my experience.
yeah, we start off with that address, and then we stand in silence, and people come past, they read our banners, they see what's happening. We have people who have got leaflets who can talk to people about what's happening and why we're doing what we're doing. So I do think it's powerful. Yeah.
It is. And then, of course, listeners, we go to a coffee shop.
Yes.
And that's not only is that very nice, but it's very important that we talk to each other just as human beings, and we find out, and that we enjoy. I really enjoy that time after the vigil, because that's what the essence of unity is. We talk to each other.
Exactly.
And we have differences, of course, but we sit down together, and eating or drinking together is really important to create understanding and tolerance and patience. Do you want to comment on that, or shall we move on?
I think that is important, and I think it comes down to what it means to be like a peace builder.
Yes.
Because what we're doing when we go and we sit and we talk to each other is we are discussing like areas of difference between us, but we're doing it from a place of kind of love and respect.
Yes, love and respect.
And we're not necessarily trying to persuade the other person that they're wrong, but what we're trying to do is get them to understand where we're coming from and why.
And that we must be open to changing our view.
And just centering the things that we do have in common.
Yes, definitely. Bridge building. Yes, and more in common.
And I think what you were asking me before, Jeannie, was why.
Let me ask you that, because this is a bit of an introduction about Farine Khan, but that's not the only thing she's involved with. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit first, and then I'm going to ask you that question. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can interview me, Farine. It's okay. So why am I here? Because I'm a newcomer to this community. I'm not Muslim. I've got very English heritage. Actually, my ancestors are all very English. I haven't travelled abroad, but I've always had this passion about social justice. That's what you mentioned, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's been deeply in my family. And I'm particularly concerned at the moment, and we'll talk a bit more about this in a minute, about the massive rise of racism, particularly Islamophobia, which impacts not just on the Muslim community, but is a way to set people against each other, particularly white people against Muslims. So I'll say a bit about me. So I'm 76, and I'm very glad I'm still alive. Many people don't reach my age, but my ancestors my grandfather lived into his 90s, and he went to work part-time every day until he was 96, I think. He was a social justice lawyer, actually. And I'm generation probably older than you, so I'm also a parent and a grandparent, and though my grandchildren are all grown up. My son is 51, probably not much different to your age group, but the great advantage of being older is you can see a longer time period. So I remember in the 1970s there was a great rise in racism, and we defeated that. We had what we called then the Anti-Nazi League. So it is possible to turn the tide of racism. And I have been part, and I'm very proud to have been part of that. So this is why we bring a message of hope, because change is possible. But in order to do that, we have to get out there and do things. And that's why we need that unity. We need to inspire each other. So
and we're both planning to attend. There's a brunch tomorrow.
Yes. The Nottingham Muslim Women's Network are putting on a solidarity brunch at Himmer. And we're going to talk about how we can support ourselves and each other. So
I think that's another way of meeting different people from different communities and having those conversations.
Yes, and we really need to do that. So any more about me, I'm going to tell a story about my family. Would you like to tell one? And then we'll talk a bit more about Islamophobia and what we can do, because we're here for change. So I'm looking at the time. We're okay. So do you want to start by saying what makes you so passionate about Islamophobia and social justice?
Okay, so I think it does probably stem from why I'm here in the first place.
Yes,
why
here
I'm in the UK. Yeah. So my parents, my mother and father, both from India.
Yes.
And my father was he studied medicine in Bihar, in Ranchi, a place called Ranchi, and as a young doctor working in Ranchi, that it's like late 1960s, there was a riot, and something had happened. There was an incident. He doesn't remember what the incident was, but people used that incident to stir up feelings against Muslims, and stir up a whole crowd against local Muslims. So a crowd of largely Hindus then were kind of rampaging through the streets, and properties were burnt, houses, businesses, and people were being targeted, and they were being beaten. And my father at the time was working, and he didn't know what was happening until there was like a stream of people started coming into the A&E with these horrific injuries where he was working. And slowly got to understand what was happening, and his Hindu friends were very concerned about him, and they said, you can't stay here because we don't know if these people are going to get to the hospital. They're hunting for Muslims, so you have to go, we'll hide you. So one of his friends helped to hide him. His mother was in Ranchi at the time as well, my grandmother, and another one of his colleagues, she went and she got to my grandmother, and she brought her into her own flat, and she hid her in her flat. So this was it was a very frightening time for my father, for my grandmother. They were terrified, but it was my father's Hindu friends who helped them and who hid them and kept them safe. And not everybody was so lucky. There was a young medical student. He was trapped in the laboratory, and they set the laboratory on fire. So there were...
Set the laboratory on fire with this young woman in it.
Yeah. So there were... And I did that he was, and he was learning about the NHS at the time, and he loved what it stood for. Kind of universal health care, and for anybody and everybody. And that was very much what he wanted to be a part of. So he applied for a job in the UK, and he came with his job. And I think part of that is the reason I'm so passionate about standing together as well, protecting the minority. Palestinians with the very, very difficult lines they are, and subject to racism. So I think that's where my passion that comes from.
Well, thank you. And it's I'm very glad you came here, but it's a hard reason why, isn't it? And of course that's what we're seeing now.
Exactly.
Similar an incident
like with
this young man who was murdered, just a few days. The trial was a few days, and immediately Nigel Farage turning it in racism, and whipping up racism, generally, and talking about policing, which is rubbish, and targeting Muslims and the very important person Peter Hegseth.
In the US?
I can never get his name right. Anyway, from the US saying, look, it's because Britain had so many immigrants. This young man,
tweeted about that.
So deliberately, these rich people, what we call the billionaire elite class, whipping up hatred.
Absolutely.
So, and the ultimate end of that, your family experience, which is physical attack on the street. Of course, we know all that happened in Germany in the 30s against. So we've got a big picture. We've also got the personal. What can we do? So I'll tell a story about my family. My father was in the second World War. Of course, in order to get soldiers to go out and kill other people, which is not, I think, natural. You have to whip up lots of anti-German feeling, all sorts of the same stereotypes, like Germans eating babies, and exactly the same stereotypes they used against. Anyway, so my father was conscription. It was the Second World War. He had a shrapnel wound in the head. And he did out. And so the war was still going on. And there was a German prisoner of war camp nearby where German soldiers were being held. And a lot of the local people, because we lived in a council estate, great place, a lot of the local people hated Germans. But my father recognised they were just young men, conscripts, just like him, missing their families. And he went out and he invited these young German soldiers into the house for Sunday dinner, which is a big thing in England, come to Sunday dinner. And the neighbours definitely didn't like it, but he persisted in doing it. And though that's a much smaller example than what you've given, it's an example of not buying into the stereotypes and the hate, and setting, as we keep talking here, an inspiring example. And I'm pointing at this sign here which says inspiring example. And so I was brought up in that tradition. I was brought up as a Christian, but mainly with the emphasis on social justice and love and inclusion. And like you, I went to university, I became a teacher, because I thought you could influence young people. I worked in equalities for the local council, helping people understand about equality, white people, and that was very tough at the time, very interesting. And then I became a psychotherapist as well. That's a whole different story. And just carried on being an activist because I think that's my passion, my calling. That's what I'm here to do, is to spread this, not to spread the word, but be there, be with other people. So that's perhaps enough of personal story. I'm then going to look at the time because we've got about 7 minutes of this episode, but we'll do another one. So what would you like to say about the rising of racism, in particular Islamophobia, in this country at the moment?
Yeah, so I think what you were saying about it being very, it's being led, and this narrative is being kind of fed into our society, and it's coming like very top down from what I can see. So I see that as actually something that we can work with.
Yes.
Because I think, I don't think it's natural for a lot of people. I mean, a lot a lot of English people are going to school and they've got friends who are Muslim. They know lots of Muslim people, and it takes a lot to kind of work against like the evidence that they see with their own eyes. So I think as a community, I think it's important for us to recognize that this is happening, to recognize that these stories are being told. They're coming like top down. You've got political leaders like
worldwide, as we just mentioned.
And it is global. But I think we all have like a sphere of influence. We all have people that we connect to, and I think it's about maybe just being a bit more intentional and maybe trying to go out of our way to connect a little bit more with people that we don't normally talk to.
Yes, and that's on a personal level. And then, of course, I was active in the 70s when there was a big rise of racism, and we had what we called then the Anti-Nazi League. Which was extremely successful and had branches everywhere and ran huge pop concerts, which of course attracted the young. And we definitely defeated that rising tide of racism. And then, of course, there was Equality Acts came in the 70s and so on. Because of the groundswell from the ordinary people, not top down. So it is possible. And in the 30s, we didn't have fascism here in England because there was such a strong movement against the fascists, the racists, the Nazis in the UK. And that was defeated, but again, by ordinary people, the trade unions and working people who lived in the East End, for example, where there were lots of Jewish people living. Black people, white people, Jewish people, etc. And there was a lot of community. But community takes time to build. We can't suddenly just trust someone. So that's what we're doing here, isn't it? Creating some unity. So there is hope. There is definitely hope. And we're going to give some more inspiring stories next time. Is there anything you'd like to say, just as we can come to the end of this episode? And I think we'll have to do another episode because there is a lot more.
There is a lot to say, actually. So I think one of the things that I was thinking about was, recently Tommy Robinson tried to get another, they called it a protest, but if you looked at the footage coming out of Southampton, it looked very violent. It was
this was after the death of the sentencing of the murderer of Henry Novak, in Southampton. They had a riot. He orchestrated a riot outside the Southampton police station.
Absolutely. And we saw much worse riots after the Southport murders. And again, people were being these very angry. Obviously, the murders were horrific.
Yes, these were the four little girls that were murdered.
And again, those rioters were targeted towards Muslim communities. And in both of these cases, Muslims weren't actually involved. But it's very easy to manipulate people who are feeling angry and upset.
And manipulate is the word, I think. So today, we don't have the Anti-Nazi League, although it might get revived. We have other things. We have Stand Up to Racism. You can see the sign here.
And Women Against the Far Right.
Women Against Far Right, because they try and say, we will protect the women and children from these, it's horrible stuff, from these violent and rapist Muslim men. That's what they're saying. But of course they don't. So we want to reject racist lies. Refugees are not to blame because they target the refugees. So we've got that. And behind you, do you want to pick up that sign? Which says...
And this is very kind of personal to me. Migrants make our NHS.
Because your dad was a migrant.
Yes,
doctor, wasn't he?
And my mother ran his practice. It was a GP for a while, and she ran the practice. So the NHS is very much part of
I'm just going to
life.
move that slightly across so that it can be seen.
Yeah.
So that's very much part of your family history.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And this is what we stand for. I made this sign. I like to make it. I put some gold on it because I want it to be beautiful.
Yeah.
You have to make things.
I think one thing that was very inspiring for me after, actually during the Southport riots, we had a mosque was it in Liverpool?
Oh yes, tell us that story. Yeah.
Yeah, so they knew that the rioters were heading towards the mosque, and instead of barricading and shutting everything down,
Yes.
they recognised that these people were being manipulated and they were ignorant of Islam. So they bought chips and drinks, and they actually went out to the people who were coming towards them.
Right.
Very angry,
Very courageous.
angry, scary people, and it was an act of courage. And
So they went out with the chips. Tell us a bit more.
yeah, and
And
they
what
just said, how can we help you? What are you concerned about? And they just spoke to them directly and said, come in and speak to us, and we will talk.
Yes.
And it led to actual very positive relationships, and new people who didn't know about the mosque, who didn't know the people. They ended up kind of forming quite
Something a
good
bit more
relationships.
violent,
Yes, and I saw that they'd had a holiday retreat together.
Oh really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so very positive things came out of that, but it took courage.
Yes, not just to.
Yeah.
I have a son.
And they could got hurt. It was a courageous thing.
Yes, it was. And while we are inspiring examples, I want you all to know that there was a big love, unity and hope march in London, and there were 500,000 people there.
Yes.
Now, for everyone that got to London, we ran some coaches from Nottingham. For everyone that went to London, there was probably hundreds who couldn't go, didn't go.
Absolutely.
But we could do some things locally. So 500,000 people on a march.
It was very
Again,
positive.
yes, you were there.
I was there,
Yeah.
you were there.
Yeah, and there were people from the trade unions, people from groups like you used to work for, Oxfam, Greenpeace. I think there was nearly 300 organisations in there, and a very wide spread of organisations that you wouldn't think normally would get involved in that. And it was called the Together Alliance.
Together.
So we want to keep being together and create some together. We are creating some together alliances in Nottingham, and I know there's the cultural event on the Forest at the end of July, so we'll have a stall and we'll get on the stage, all at the invitation, of course, of the community, to and to foster togetherness. And there are lots of people in Nottingham who will confront the racists, so it's very hopeful. But of course, we need more. We always need more. And you can just do what you can. You don't have to, as particularly Muslim women, I don't recommend you coming out on the streets when the fascists are there. I've been there, but I'm a white woman and it's easier for me. I'm not going to be targeted so much. So, but of course, wherever they are, with their big signs, they came to Nottingham, mass deportation now.
Yeah.
That's not a fringe thing,
No.
because Nigel Farage said that he would create mass deportation centres in every city that didn't vote for reform.
And I think it is following the model of what we're seeing in the United States, isn't it? With the ICE detention centres, which are incredibly frightening, and which are a law unto themselves as well. Even when cases have been brought to try and get people out of the detention
Centres.
centres. Judges have said that their detention is unlawful.
Yeah, they still don't
And they still haven't.
observe the law. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So the fact that there are people who would be willing to vote for that kind of thing in this country, when you can see how it's affecting people in America, I find that incredible.
Yeah. And my understanding about that, my experience of that as a white person, is that those white communities in this country, working class communities, that when the pits were shut down, the steelworks, the big industrial sites that gave people work and their children work and were very much the lifeblood of those communities, when they were shut down by the government, those communities fell into despair and anger and resentment and hopelessness.
Yeah.
And there wasn't work, and that is fertile ground for those people to exploit.
Yeah.
And don't point the fingers at the people who closed the pits and closed the steelworks. I was there. I remember the huge miners' strike and the closing of the pits. Don't point the finger at us, the billionaire class. Nigel Farage is saying, let's point the finger at black people, particularly at people who seem more different, like Muslim people, because it distracts attention from the real culprits, which are the millionaire, billionaire, international class. And I see that so often. Like those people that came to the mosque that didn't barricade themselves in, the chips and the drinks. I imagine they were people from those disenfranchised white working class communities.
Absolutely. And they've been given a story, they believe the story, but it doesn't hold up to any kind of, reality. When they're confronted with real people
real Muslims giving them chips, it's a different experience, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's very good that we can see the causes, but a bit more about me. So I was very lucky because I was a student in London in the late 60s, early 70s, and my first experience of activism was against the Vietnam War.
Right.
And this for me is a story of hope, and I always tell it because I say, could you believe that the biggest industrial military nation in the world would be defeated by a tiny little poor peasant country called Vietnam? And that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was not just the courage of the Vietnamese people, but it was international pressure and help all around the world. But it happened.
Yeah.
And we have to keep those inspiring examples in front of us, because one of the biggest weapons, I think, that those people who want to manipulate us into racism and Islamophobia, one of the biggest weapons is hopelessness, despair.
Yeah.
And it's just not true.
No. And when I think about that kind of conscription for the Vietnam War, I always think about like Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
And so he was such a strong advocate for refusing war.
Yes.
And it was a huge kind of personal cost.
It was, because he was imprisoned,
Yeah.
And he said, why should I go and kill Vietnamese poor people on behalf of a government who won't even allow me to vote in my own country? And there was massive. So let's remember that whole wave of institutional racism in the States. Black people weren't allowed to vote. The black and white children went to different schools. All that was changed. It took a time and it took energy and cost, as you said, but it did happen. The same here in England.
Yeah.
Well, I married into an African Caribbean family, and grandfather came here, a bit like your father came. He came as a skilled craftsman, and he bought all his tools. He was an engineer. Couldn't get a job. Ended up sweeping the floor in the local ironworks. And that was a story everywhere. And there were signs saying no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. Lots of racism at the time. All that was made illegal in the 70s and 80s. But you see those attitudes. Hate crime is supposed to be a crime, but I don't see it being implemented by the government.
No. And I think that's another thing to remember is that society does change.
Yes.
And we all play our part.
We can definitely be part of that change.
Yeah. And it is important to remember kind of that, you know, at the time when my aunt and uncle came as well, they were struggling to find accommodation in London because of those signs.
Yes.
You know. And you know, my aunt, she worked for many years for British Telecom, and she's a breadwinner, and she was very much kind of over the course of my working life. This country has changed for the better.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
definitely for the better.
Yeah. But now
we're in danger of losing that.
Definitely. So we've all got to do our bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just having a look because we're coming to the end, I think, of this episode.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a break. And thank you, listeners, for listening. And you've probably got your own stories to tell about not just the stories about Islamophobia and racism, but stories of hope, stories of unity, stories of change. And that kind of empowerment is vital to our movement. Because if we don't do with just price and that, all the gains we have made will be swept away, not to mention what will follow on from that. So thank you for listening, and see you again next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, Farine. I haven't said thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I've enjoyed the conversation.
It was very interesting.
So thank you very much for listening, and thank you to Farine Khan for being our first guest. And we will have more guests on the programme, and look forward to much more interesting and hopeful and inspiring examples of how we can stem this rising tide of Islamophobia. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now.
And divided, we will stand strong, united. Different voices, one heartbeat, walking together through every street, through every storm, through every fire. We rise higher and higher, hand in hand we all belong. Many hearts but one strong song. And unity, that's the power of our community, side by side.